Hello guys and welcome, it is ThatSrb2DUDE here today, bringing you yet another Scrimnalysis video. Now today we're going to be talking about Camp Trigger Splat Zones, and it's an interesting map because it's somewhat of a work together buddy system where you go in pairs to work together in each zone. So you push two on one side and push two on the other side. Two people control your zone, two people control their zone. The more important zone that you really want to control is their zone, because with your zone, you can easily just paint it and cap it, and then you have it secured. But on their side, if you can really quickly get to their side and paint their zone, you should be able to secure both splat zones at the same time. Now, we're going to be going through 3 different scrims. This scrim is going to be with a Zimmy, a Kelp Splatoscope, a 96, and a 52 gal. Now, usually in this type of comp, the Kelp Splatoscope and the 96 gal would go on the right side, and you're going to see how these two work together. Well, these two, and when I say myself and Brian. So, as you see, what we're trying to do is that Brian is going to quickly charge up a whale, and I'm just going to try and pressure their zone as fast as I can. So I do see two catch caught off guard, so that's why it's decided to actually engage in that. But Brian does have his whale and does use it, and does eliminate one target. Now, what this allows me to do is, it allows me to start the push. It allows me to start pushing onto their zone and to start pushing onto their street. And right now, it's just we're completely dominating right now. I can push into their street just to stall them a little bit more and just get a little bit more points onto the splat zone. I do crack in as well just to scare them off a little bit, as you see there. Like, they backed up just a little bit more. But here's another thing, is that you want to decide when you want to push and when you want to back up. And I do decide to back up here because I did see one guy starting to push up, and he was getting a little bit too pushed up for my liking. Now what I did is I did go back just a little bit more. Brian did call out that there was one coming from the wall, and what usually the Kelp Splatoscope does, he backs up all the way to the back just so he can watch people that are actually coming over the wall from there. And if there is anybody, he will call it out to me and I'll back up straight away. And this is another thing that I really like to do, is that just stand in the middle of their zone and just suppress their ramp, because it is really hard to get a shot off to the person that is doing or suppressing the ramp right there. But as you see, it just ends quickly like that. Basically, in other words, on the right side, your Kelp Splatoscope is your defense, and the 96 is the frontline offensive weapon. Now, this is another scrim, and it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, this time we're going to be running a Berry Pro instead of a Kelp, and you kind of have to play this a little bit differently because of how you want to quickly get the zone. So, what we're going to be doing is, instead of throwing the Berry Pro on the left, we're going to bring them onto the right with me. And it's going to be played a little bit different because this time we don't have the whale, which is, honestly, I feel like it's the better pick because it allows you to quickly get the zone. Bomb Rush is good, but it doesn't allow you to get it as quickly as a whale. But there are ways around this. So what I'm going to do is charge up my Kraken, just to charge up my invincibility special, and what I'm going to basically do is just throw my special in there and try and get a couple kills. Now, there was one good thing that happened there, is that Soren did pop that guy's bubble early. That's something that Zimmies like to do, from what I'm starting to notice. And what we were able to do is force it early, so it allowed us to get the bubble out the way. Now, as you see here, is that I do have my Kraken, and as you saw, I was sharking in. And I managed to get a pick on the Zimmy, and I managed to pick the Grim Range Blaster, luckily. Now, this was a really good thing, because what it allowed us to do is get in control of their zone, and we just got in control of everything. We got control of our zone, we got control of their zone, we got control of the street. And as you see, I'm starting to push onto their street, and, you know, this is where I just get a lot more points going down. They do send in a counter whale, so I have to be careful about that. But unfortunately here, I do get taken out by the Grim Range Blaster. He did throw a burst bomb in the right spot and then just blasted there. And what Soren is going to do is go into that defensive spot so I can actually jump back in. Basically, it's just like I never even dies. I'm back into the fight again. Fortunately, Soren does down, but I felt like maybe I should wait for Soren, but well, basically I do play a little bit passive, because as you saw there, I was getting a little bit aggressive, but I don't think it was the best thing to do. As you see, because now I'm backed up here, and then pretty much I don't see anybody challenging me. Now, Soren did something different. Instead of him jumping to me, he decided to suppress from their sides, or our zone, basically. Now, you can and you don't have to play buddy system. I mean, sometimes it is great to play buddy system, but if you feel like you have a competent player to, you know, secure one zone, and that's fine. I mean, actually using the Berry Pro like that is actually a pretty good play, because if I am backed up onto their elbow, then they're gonna look at me first, and then Soaring can just basically pick them off, because the Berry Pro does have enough range to suppress them, and it's something they wouldn't really expect, and it's actually a really nice thing that actually happened into this scrim as well. It's another way of surprising someone. I mean, not necessarily you do have to always play the buddy system, but, you know, in this case, that play was actually a lot quicker to do. And here's the final scrim, and we're gonna be doing the same thing that we did last time. In the very first scrim, gonna be using the exact same comp, the 52, the 96, the Kelp, and the Zimmy. And we're gonna try and do the same strategy that we did last time. But the thing is that at the very start of this, it's not gonna go out into our favor. And I'm gonna show you how to recover from this. So we're gonna do this, try and do the same thing we do. First of all, I wanted to mention is that you want to scout out who is there before you start making a push. The 96 is usually the one that makes the initial push. As you see, I try to see what's going on to their zone. I mean, on the last scrim, what I did is that I did see that they had their backs turned, so that's why I even engaged in the first place. But the unfortunate thing is that Brian goes down and he doesn't have his whale now. Well, we don't have a whale for their zone now. And I had to pulp my Kraken a little bit early. Now, I really got a really good kill there. I mean, that was huge. I mean, what this allows me to do is just wait for Brian to come back. And I'm not really going to make an initial push yet until Brian does come back. Because the strategy that we do have is that we want to whale their zone so we can push there. Now, expecting that they would have specials, especially at Custom Range Blaster, we wanted to force those out first, just so that we can eliminate them when we do whale their zone. But as you see here, now we got the push going. We do get the whale off. Luckily, Brian doesn't go down. And then you see Fuzzy does come into our side, maybe just for a little bit of support. But the thing is that something did go wrong into their side zone, so that's why he was actually here. But this is the decision I made. I decided to go onto the left side. Considering the 96 Scout is a pretty versatile weapon, you can go on the left side. But unfortunately, Fuzzy does die on the right side as well, so I decided just to go back, just to help Brian again. Sometimes miscommunication things can happen like that, but, you know, I'm back. We're helping Brian again, and those two are just going to have to try and figure out what they, you know, try and figure out something. I think Sender actually got 3 on their zone, so that enabled him to actually get their zone back really fast. So, but as you can see, I have pushed up onto their streak very, very far in. I mean, at times I don't recommend that you push in too far, but, you know, I felt like I was confident enough to, you know, push everybody back. And as you saw, that's what happened. Now, unfortunately, I did try to tame the Kraken here. Maybe I should have just ran and then just waited for his Kraken to end, because there are frame buffers when your Kraken is ending, and I could have just got the easy kill there. Unfortunately, stuff like that does happen. It's trial and error, and then I'll learn from that. And we're going to try and do the same thing again, because we did get pushed back. Brian is here. He has the killer whale. And I'm going to try and make a push first. They don't have any specials, so I'm going to shark my way in. Brian whales early, which is quite nice. And I start the push already. And as you saw, we did force one Kraken. Unfortunately, I did get taken out by the Custom Range Blaster. That was a really nice shot from him, actually. And he took us both out. So basically, now they do have control of their zone, but the thing is that I did call out this, because I did see this on the minimap, is that they didn't push out their back too much. They didn't paint too much of it, so what this allowed us to do is just go right back in and just restart what we were trying to do in the first place. Now, they were beginning to push, but unfortunately that slosher did get picked off, and then I did get 2 there. Actually, no, Fuzzy stole one of my kills. Damn it, Fuzzy. But what this allowed us to do is that Fuzzy came back just to, you know, help us out once again, and unfortunately he did get taken out. But as you see, we did get control of that zone, and, you know, one thing I do want to mention is that if you are working on the left side and you do get the 2 that are pushing your left, you really want to push out the backside and basically just paint everything on their back, because what this allows them, because it is so much easier to secure your zone once you've controlled their entire back area. And, you know, it doesn't allow anybody to come onto your zone. So, as you see right here, I am back onto their zone. We've got control. I'm going to, you know, paint this street just a little bit more. And we have 30 seconds left, so I don't have to do too much. They're cracking. They just force the Kraken in, and I'm just gonna keep it cool, just chill a little bit. And you know, I am working by myself here because Brian is now on the left side, but it's okay because I do get 2, which is very huge, and you know, it allowed us to get a full wipe at the same time. Now I'm just going to, you know, secure the street. I was standing still, you know, because I didn't really need to have too much movement there. Now Brian does whale their street, and what this allowed me to do is just push in their street more. I mean, sometimes when you do have so many points and when the time is limited, you don't have to actually send 2 again. You can just send everyone onto your zone if you do have that controlled. And as you see, this is just led into another successful scrim. Like, I do mention that you want to play it as a buddy system, usually at the very start of the games, but you know, if you're looking at the time, if you're looking at the amount of points that each team has, you can be a little bit versatile with this because you don't want your opponents to expect and know everything that you are going to do. So it's good to switch it up a little bit. You know, have that buddy system at the start. But if you feel like you want to switch it up, you want to send another player onto another side of the zone, or just have 3 on one side and then 1 holding one zone, you know, you can play it like that if you want. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for these scrims. I felt like they went really well. I honestly feel like the Zimmy, the 52 and 96 and Kelp setup is just the strongest for Splat Zones Camp Trigger Fish. And that's pretty much all I gotta say. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. And as always, guys, this has been ThatSrb2DUDE, and I shall see you guys in a future video.